Welcome to the Dawn Jarvis Show with Dawn Jarvis, the diverse nurse. And in this podcast, we will be talking about healthcare, self-care, diversity, careers, and well-being from a Black woman's perspective. If you're a person of colour, an ally, partner, or employer of person of colour, and interested in a diverse perspective on health, self-care, and well-being, then this is the podcast for you. If you are ready to turn your expertise into that thing you have always wanted to do and are not prepared to let potential barriers or difference hold you back, then you are definitely in the right place. Join registered nurse, coach and motivational speaker Dawn Jarvis, the diverse nurse, to get the advice, inspiration, strategies and tough love you need to manifest the life, career or organisation that you want and need in this diverse world. We're really happy that you're here. So if you're ready, let's get on with the show.
So, welcome Simone. Simone and I know each other quite well. We met in Florida in January this year and we've become firm friends. Simone and I usually talk every Sunday because we are accountability partners together. So it's my absolute pleasure to welcome her to the show. Hi Simone, how are you?
Hi, Dawn. I'm doing well. Congratulations on your show.
Thank you so much. I realise that it's like really stupid o'clock in the United States. What time is it there with you?
Well, yeah, we call it dark 30 here. It's 6:11 a.m. It is still dark, and this is not my normal wake up time. However, I have. You have to make allowances when we're talking about speaking across the waters and
absolutely
the seas and the oceans.
And also,
right.
Isn't it fantastic that we can talk like this? I think it's really fantastic that we're friends and that we're quite good friends. And I would count you as a personal friend. And we only met 9 months ago and we only talk on Zoom. So isn't the internet wonderful?
It is. It's so wonderful. It brings people closer together.
Definitely. So the floor is yours, Simone. You can tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Well, I am Simone Henry. I created a company called ECHE Music. And ECHE is an old Middle English word. It means what? Everlasting, perpetual, forever.
I didn't know that. That's good.
Yeah, and I thought it was a great word for a company that promotes Christian music. And I started it back in 2014 as a resource service, and recently after going to that weekend where you and I met, I turned it into a coaching program.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Now, now after going through the coaching thing and learning how to be a coach, I am combining that with what I originally wanted to do and putting more of the resources and the done for you work back into it. So, in launching a new service in October, I just haven't figured out what to call it yet.
Well,
I thought I had a name.
What did you think the name was going to be?
Well, I was so excited about the name ECHE VIP.
Yeah.
But as you know, our coaching, our coach had her virtual retreat this weekend. And I pitched that name to a few of the ladies and they were like, yeah, what does that even mean?
Oh my goodness. It's always, so Rosetta and I share we're in a mastermind together with the coach and mentor, I guess, and Rosetta Thurman, who is an incredible woman. So she's all about the brand. And one of the reasons this is called the Dawn Jarvis Show. And we've had to really think about, what you call your name, what you call yourself as a business and, what that says when you put it out there. But it is quite difficult to take it on when you've got, when you're quite attached to a name. Isn't it?
Yeah. I've been attached to my company name. I've been putting it all over everything.
Well, that's okay. It's okay. We can change it. So what made you go into that line of work? I mean, in your intro, it said you've got a great history in sort of gospel music and gospel singing. You know, what's it all about for you?
For me, it's about helping independent Christian recording artists be to be on bigger stages, to reach more people, and to ultimately be able to minister, do what they do full time, and be able to do it without benefit of a label or or big radio deals and radio cross country radio,
So why is that
airplay and all that.
why is that important to you? I don't know anything about gospel music. In fact, in spite of having family members of being gospel singers, is that isn't every recordings artist's dream to have a label, to be part of a label, or is that quite constraining? And do you have to make sacrifices around your authenticity if you're part of a label?
Yeah, you do. So historically, labels, what they do is, um, a lot of the times what they do, and I won't say all labels, there's always exceptions to the rule, right? But generally, what they do is they bring an artist in. They do develop them, which is a good thing. They give them style, they give them branding. They have access to their state of the art studios where they can record their music and whatever. But which is and that's a good thing. The sad thing about working with a label is that, a lot of the time, depending on who you are, especially like a solo artist, if you're a choir, it's kind of no big deal. But as a solo artist, sometimes, depending on what kind of a label you're with, they don't want you to say the name of Jesus. They
Yeah.
want you to look more sexy. They want you
Yeah.
to sing in a club rather than in a church,
Yeah.
and different things like that. And they
Yeah.
basically change your identity.
Yeah.
And the reason is they feel like, okay, well, you will make more money for them if you're portrayed as more of a secular artist.
Yeah, I understand
than,
that totally.
than
And
a
I
gospel
think,
artist.
I have known gospel artists really struggle with that, with sort of like remaining true to their faith and doing the thing they love to do and also making money from it. How do people from the gospel faith, sort of like people in your congregations, and how do they think about, developing yourself to make money? Because that can be a conflict as well, can't it?
It is. It's a conflict. And recently I've been doing a lot of posting online about making money, monetizing your ministry. I actually spoke to a gentleman yesterday who said, well, why would I need to monetize? And what is monetization? And,
Yeah, I get you.
It's for a lot of Christian people, they've grown up hearing, uh, it is very difficult for a rich man. It's more difficult for a rich man to get into heaven than for a camel to go through the eye of a
I've
needle.
heard it, babe. Heard
And
it.
right,
I heard
and
it.
there is money is the root of all evil, which is a misquote.
Yeah.
So we grow up hearing these things, and then for somebody to tell you that, well, you should want more money, it's a conflict of interest, they
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
And I would like to put out there that first quote that I quoted in the Bible, where it said is more difficult for a rich man. That's something that Jesus said is very difficult for a rich man to get into heaven than it is for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. The very next statement he said was, "But all things are possible with
Absolutely. I love that. All things are
God."
possible.
All things are
You should
possible.
have that as your tagline.
I know, right?
Maybe I will have it as my tagline. Yeah, that would be
Right.
really good. That'd be really good.
Yeah.
So what would a client of yours get from you, and what success have you had in your business?
Well, clients will get from me strategy, the kind of strategy that they need to put together a marketing plan. They will learn how to brand themselves in such a way that they're not confusing people. And and have a strategy and a marketing plan and know all the different things that they need to accomplish to lay the foundation for when they're releasing their music, and also learn how to build a relationship with their fan base.
Yeah, I think that's
You know,
really, really important, because
yeah,
there is a quote, isn't there? I'm not sure who it's from. You probably know, Simone, about, you need 1,000 true fans to
right.
make
To make
money, to make
$100,000.
$100,000. We're going to say
Yeah.
dollars, so about
Mhm.
£80,000 UK listeners. So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I think that's really important. And there's a bit of a dichotomy, isn't there, around making that money, actually putting yourself out there. And I know that I've struggled with that, putting yourself out there because you want to make money from your business is sort of, I'm a nurse and I've worked for the public sector all my life. And there's a bit difference about working for, but essentially for money, and working for a public
Mhm.
sector organisation, which is
Yeah,
for the, the greater good. But I think
exactly.
you can use your skills and expertise to help people that you want to help, and it's with the best of motives. But I also believe that because of your expertise, you deserve to be paid for it.
Absolutely. It
So
should be a win-win situation.
absolutely, and
The
yeah,
client wins, the customer wins, and you win.
absolutely. So, as I said before, Simone lives in the United States, and as you all know, we've been going through the COVID-19 pandemic, and I'm really interested in Simone's experience of the pandemic from a US citizen's perspective, and what it's like over there.
Um, it's isolating.
Yeah,
um, you know, it's we've had to deal with not only, being isolated in our homes, all live events being shut down.
yeah, that must have had
Um,
impact on the gospel music industry,
it
surely.
did, absolutely, especially gospel artists who are also church
Oh
musicians,
yes, because churches
because
are closed, aren't they?
the churches are closed and they're not getting paid every Sunday to go in and, and play the drums or play the
Oh
piano
right.
or, play the
Do
organs and
artists
stuff
get
like they
paid
do.
in churches in
They
America?
do.
Wow.
They do. Yes, absolutely.
Do you hear that,
And
UK? That's
for a
almost just
lot of artists, it's a main part of their income.
wow. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So that
Yeah.
would really have an impact. Are the churches opening anytime soon? I think there's still limits here on churches. It's a bit confusing in the United Kingdom because we've just I'm recording this in September 2020. We've just had some extra legislation that people aren't allowed to gather in more than 6 people aren't allowed to gather together, either inside or outside. There are some exceptions, like weddings and funerals and cinemas and pubs, for strangely. But it's a bit confusing, and I'm still not clear whether churches are open or not. Are they open in America?
Um, no, they're not open here either. People are doing drive-through churches.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's a thing.
Yes.
Um,
Have you been to
we've
one?
been doing, I haven't been to one, no.
I think I'd
And
quite
I
like that.
have, yeah, I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few people have been doing that, but most churches are doing online services. And it's funny because so many people have refused to do online services
Really?
before, and now they're forced to. And of
Absolutely.
course, after this pandemic is over and we're allowed to leave our homes again, they're going to keep doing the online services
Yeah.
because it puts them in front of people all over the world, not just in their local communities.
Yeah, that's one of the things, and that happened in healthcare as well. I remember in this time last year, I was doing a project in my job in the NHS. I travelled quite a large geographical area, and I was doing a project trying to get people to do meetings online, and the benefits of that would be to save on travel expenses and tiredness and be more productive. And I was really struggling to get people to do that, mainly people my age who were really worried about what they were going to look like on camera. So that was really interesting. And then the pandemic happened and shutdown happened, and we did it in a week. And I worked at home between January and September, and everything was online. So, you know, the pandemic has been awful, but it's also allowed innovation and people to take
Yes.
opportunities with online. And it's really interesting to see that sort of way playing out in our communities, because, you know, as you say, people before would not consider going to church online, would they? Because a lot I know a lot in gospel churches about dressing up, put on your blessed clothes, you know what I mean, seeing
Right.
people.
It's an event,
It's an
right?
event, absolutely.
Big event.
People dress, you know, to go to church.
It's a fashion show every
Yeah,
week.
absolutely. But a part of it is community and communion, isn't it, really? So,
Yes,
and that
absolutely.
is possible to do if you're very clever on online, and you're getting, I suppose, what you really are going to church for. You still can get that, can't you? And I think it's up to us to think of other ways to get the community part and be able to show our best clothes, maybe.
Absolutely.
That's true. So, Simone, you have some health issues as well. Would you like to tell us about that?
Yes, I have sickle cell anemia,
Oh,
and it's been a struggle.
yeah,
I actually just told my testimony, since September is Sickle Cell Awareness Month.
absolutely. So I
Um,
don't know if it is all over the world, but I will find that out actually, and then I will do some promotion about sickle cell as well if it is, because it's really important to do that.
yeah,
So what does that
it's
mean for you in everyday life, and you know, what did that mean pre-pandemic, and what did that mean during the pandemic? Did it make a difference?
yeah, it made a bit of a difference during the pandemic, because I'm not able to, if I need to go to an emergency room or something, I'm not able to. Um, I don't have people close by
Yeah,
necessarily
yeah,
that would be able to help me if
yeah.
I needed it.
I think one
And
of the impacts of the pandemic, and I know this from members of my own family, is that ability to visit in the United Kingdom. Yeah,
yeah, that's another
you're not
thing.
allowed to take anybody in with you. And I know if you're unwell, you're not at your best about communicating what's best for you and consenting to treatment, or even understanding what's being said to you. So that must be very, very, very difficult. I know I found that difficult with family members going to an emergency room and not being allowed to go past the front desk, and then, you know, your loved one is
Yeah,
going off into wherever, and you don't know what's happening with them. And then, you know, it's not easy getting phone information from any organisation, never mind a healthcare organisation, and then with the nurses who've got a lot of things to do. So that must have been really difficult, because I know that you did have to go to hospital during the pandemic, and even, I guess, even
yeah, a couple of
driving yourself
times.
there is an issue, isn't it, really, if you've got no
Yeah, I've
one
had to
to
drive
help you?
myself.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's right.
And when you're there and no one is allowed to visit, for me, part of having good health is good mental health and emotional health,
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
not being able to have somebody there
Hmm.
with you
Hmm.
to cheer you up, to hold your hand,
Hmm.
to, just to talk with,
Yeah,
while the nurses and the doctors are doing their thing. You feel utterly alone.
hmm,
You really do.
hmm.
And that's a tough
It
thing.
is, especially if your family aren't even around and aren't there to advocate for you. How
Right.
has having sickle cell anemia impacted on your life? Because it's a condition you're born with, and suppose
Mhm.
you would have been having to deal with that all your life. And, you know, Simone's the same age as me. Well, actually, I'm a bit older than Simone, is what I have to say. But, you know, does it get difficult? Is it different from how it was when you were a child? Is
It
it different as you
is.
get older? And, you know, what do
It
you do to
is.
keep yourself healthy?
Well, it is. It seems to be. I seem to have more problems as I get older.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, my biggest issue was back pain.
Hmm.
That was my biggest issue, and and the thing is, as a kid, I didn't really understand what triggered it.
Yeah.
And so I think I would probably do things that kind of kept triggering it.
Yeah.
But like strenuous exercise, um, back when I was a kid, we take the bus to school
Yeah.
and, back and forth and stuff. And if we were kind of late for the bus and then we had to run for the
Oh,
bus
goodness.
or before it would leave us, as soon as I got on the bus and sat down, I would have a strong backache that would start right then and there.
Wow.
But
yeah. And for
as I get
people,
older, I know the triggers.
yes, of course. For people who don't know, and one of the things around sickle cell anemia is you have a thing called crises, which are extremely painful and need to be treated quite quickly. And Simone, you were telling me that sometimes it can be quite difficult to be taken seriously around pain relief and when you attend like the emergency room. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I've been treated this way.
Yeah.
So far, I haven't.
That's brilliant.
But, I've heard from my friends that, they'll show up at the hospital telling the doctors that they're in pain and they need medication. And the doctors are skeptical and thinking that they're drug addicts and just here to get a fix.
Yeah. And that must be so difficult and so demoralizing,
yeah.
especially
if you're
why?
not well. Because pain does not show up on the outside of your body.
No, that's true. That's true.
It's not like you're bleeding, you have a cut or anything like that. People have to take your word for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah,
as a person with sickle cell, I have to tell people I'm in pain. They can't see that I'm in pain.
I know, and pain is subjective, and different cultures and different communities experience and deal with pain in a different way. And I think I know as a healthcare professional, there are sort of cultural maybe misconceptions and stereotypes about certain communities and their relationship with pain. So I know that can be quite difficult, and I think that's something I'm hoping that nurses and healthcare workers who maybe are listening to this podcast can sort of like think about that as they go forward as well. So I thank you so much for sharing your sort of medical history for me, because that's quite confidential information. Do you feel happy about sharing? I guess it's definitely not the first thing you told me, and it was important, but do you share your sort of medical history with people? Because I think it goes a long way to understanding, but it's difficult because it's private, isn't it?
I usually only share it if a problem comes up.
Yeah.
And I guess it's really as a protection,
yeah, absolutely.
against me, maybe discrimination.
Absolutely. I understand that totally.
Right. Because I've gone to, job interviews, and I don't want to go into a job interview and tell the person interviewing me that I have sickle cell anemia, and therefore I may be out sometimes because I'm ill or, in the hospital or whatever. I don't want them to look at me and go, oh, well, she's not going to be reliable. She's going to be in the hospital all the time. So no, I can't hire her.
I know. And that's that is discrimination. And you should be able to, there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to share your medical history at interview. And, in the UK, you shouldn't be discriminated against for any job or anything for doing that, but unfortunately people being people, that does happen, and it is very difficult, and I'd really understand why people don't disclose medical as the sick. I know
okay, I need to take a sick day.
I know. How do you manage because you're still working full time at the moment while you're building up your business? How do you manage working full time and also sort of giving a lot to your business? Because I know you do give a lot to your business, Simone.
Well, I try to be a disciplined person, and I show up to work at 8:30 in the morning, and I work until like 4:30 or 5 normally, and then once I log off, I stop thinking about work.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do. I didn't quite manage that. But yes, it is.
I try to take a break.
Yeah.
And then do something. I have a to-do list for my business.
Yeah.
And I try to do something, spend some time focusing on that, on my business, and get at least one thing done every day.
Brilliant.
That's what I try to do. It doesn't always happen because, I'm still working on my discipline, but
Yeah.
God is helping me,
Yeah.
and He's giving me some tools.
That's brilliant. And how, so this podcast is also about self-care. How do you look after yourself? How do you make time for yourself and sort of nurture yourself as a human being? Because it's all very, I know both you and I put quite a lot into our work. And I have, I'm doing my business full time at the moment, but that wasn't always the case. So how do you manage that to sort of like take that time out? What do you do just for yourself?
Nothing too extravagant. I try to keep to a morning routine when I get up in the morning. Pray, read something from the Bible, listen to an inspirational message.
Yeah.
There's a lady I like to follow on YouTube. Her name is Terry Savelle Foy.
Okay.
Maybe read for a few minutes, and then my morning routine actually, and it incorporates music as well. For me, music kind of gets me going and gets me up and
I
gets
remember
me
you saying
moving.
that.
So, so I like to incorporate music into that. And then at other times, if I'm feeling down, if I'm feeling like, okay, my life is a mess. I don't know why I'm doing all of this. I'm overwhelmed. I take some time out. I call my friends. I call my sister. I call you.
Yeah, I know. I was just
Our
about to
chats every
say,
Sunday is
we have a chat.
energizing for
Yes,
me.
I know. And it is for me too. It's sort of like having that connection. And I think that's one of the things, one of the strategies in lockdown. I have organise Zoom parties, all over the UK, and I'm trying to organise one all over the world, but it's difficult with time zones. But we manage to talk most Sundays, don't we? And it is really good to speak to somebody that you've got connection with and somebody in common with, and I would really recommend that. So
Absolutely.
how can people get hold of you if they want your help and advice and inspiration for their business?
Well, I am on Facebook and Instagram. On Facebook, my handle is Simone A. Henry. And on Instagram, it's ECHE Music, ECHE Music.
Okay, that's cool. And Simone's got a really good Facebook group that you can join as well. And if you join, there's some freebies going as well. So, Simone, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you this morning. It's really good to talk to you about your business and sort of getting that out there. Simone's excellent, and she's had some really good results with some gospel artists, and I really admire the way that you're supporting artists outside the sort of mainstream to be authentic about their music and their ministry. Is there anything, any tip that you'd like to leave us with, either for gospel artists or for just us as humans?
Well, okay, I can give a tip to any gospel artists out there. My tip is to be authentic, be you, and don't be afraid to tell your story. That is how people will connect with you. And I guess for anybody else, a good tip would be to, the same, because you never know how your story will inspire someone.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, you just never know.
Well, thank you so much, Simone. It's absolutely wonderful to talk to you, as I do every Sunday. And it's absolutely wonderful to talk to you on my podcast. You were my first guest, and thank you so much for that. I really enjoyed it, and I know that a lot of people will get a lot from an international perspective on both running a business and also, the gospel music industry. So I think it's something that people are very interested in and don't know that much about, and that includes me, and I grew up in a Pentecostal church. So thank you very much, and
you're very welcome.
You can get
Congratulations again.
Thank you, Simone, and I'll put Simone's contact details in the show notes. So thank you very much, and see you next time. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you for listening to the Dawn Jarvis Show. If you enjoyed this episode, there are 2 things you can do. Number 1, leave me a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. It would mean so much to me if you took a moment out of your time to post your thoughts on the show. It will help me reach so many more people and help them with their well-being. Number 2, subscribe to my email list, the Diverse Nurse Digest, using the link in the show notes. Until the next time, thank you and goodbye.